Uma Musume has recently had an update that increased the amount of carats rewarded for various activities. One of these increases is for team trials. Now, you get 50% more carats per week compared to before the update. Now, I'm sure everyone is panicking about trying to make good Umas to compete in Champions Meeting, but you really shouldn't neglect team trials, especially now with the increased carats. Because now, if you were to maintain Class 6 every week in a month, that's 375 carats a week, or 1,500 carats a month, which is actually pretty comparable to Champions Meeting rewards. Except that for team trials, you won't have to constantly train up new Umas for a different track every single month. That being said though, making a good team trial Uma is quite different actually from making an ace for Champions Meeting. And so, if you've been struggling to get enough points for promotion or maintaining Class 6, today we're going to go over some things that can help increase your points for team trials. Hopefully this will help you make it to Class 6 consistently, instead of maybe just floating between Class 5 and 6 between each week. Now, as a big TLDR for team trials, your main priority is activating skills, specifically gold skills where possible. Obviously, you would also want to win, but winning while activating a lot of gold skills will reward a lot more points than simply just winning with a few white skills here and there. Now, there are some specific things that you actually have control over when it comes to trying to manipulate your score. We'll start out with the easiest things to do, down to some of the more tougher ones. And of course, I'll also go over some examples of what to look for when selecting a team trial Uma and what supports to use for them. The first and easiest bonus is when setting up your team trials formation, the Uma in the first slot is considered your team's ace. And this ace will get 10% more points for whatever they do. Ideally, this is the Uma that will activate the most skills and win the race for you, so that the multiplier gives you the maximum benefits. Now, of course, RNG can happen, so maybe one of your other Umas end up winning, but you should try to position the Uma that you think will be the strongest and your highest point earner in this ace position, so that you can take advantage of that 10% bonus. Now, secondly, believe it or not, winning is very good. Not only does your winning Uma get a flat 10,000 points, but they also get bonus points based on how big of a gap they had between them and the second placer. And if they finish the race fast enough, they get a bonus set of points too. Think of this as finishing under par on a golf course. And then even for the Umas that don't come in first place, each Uma will receive bonus points if they place in the top 5. And you receive even more bonus points if all 3 of your Umas are in the top 5, and even more if all 3 of them are in the top 3. Naturally, the higher you place, the more points that each individual Uma gets. Now, speaking of winning, if you get consecutive wins throughout your races, each win will give a higher percentage multiplier that stacks. But realistically speaking, this isn't really a bonus, it's kind of mandatory. As once you get to the higher classes, you get to a point where you need to clean sweep 5 races in a row to get a good score. So it sounds kind of obvious, but this tip is basically just win lol. The next tip is to challenge the higher rated teams when given the options. Yes, it may be easier to get that 5 win streak if you challenge the lower rated teams, but challenging higher rated teams gives you a bonus multiplier that increases the higher the opposing team. It can even almost double the points that you get for the generic base activations before applying any of the other bonuses. So even if you beat the lower rated teams 5 times in a row, that might not be enough to get you into promotion or retention range. And the thing is, there really isn't a downside to challenging the higher teams. Don't forget that you can use a parfait to force great moods on all your Umas, which might help you cheese out some wins against the tougher opponents. You recover 1 RP every 2 hours, so in a week that means you have 84 total attempts. If you keep challenging the highest rated opponents, I'm sure that one of those attempts will net you that big clean sweep. Remember, the team trials matchmaking system always tries to put you against teams that are around your own team trial rating, so they are all 100% beatable. You can do it, trust me. Maybe after you're comfortable with your score and you've locked in your promotion or your retention, then maybe you can start challenging the lower teams only just because of the fact that you'll be more likely to beat them, which means that you have higher chances of getting those prize boxes, which could drop some carats if you're lucky. The next bonus is a simple one that you can take advantage of, and that is to upgrade your support cards. By upgrading your support cards, these give a flat percentage bonus to your score, and you should be trying to upgrade your support cards anyway to have more options available when you're doing runs for your Umas, giving you a wider variety of skills that you can use, which we will go over in just a second for support decks. But now, for the most important thing to remember when making a team trial Uma, and that is the skills. if you take a look at these two races here that I did, one race I lost. So I did not get some of those juicy bonuses for coming in first, or having distances between myself and the second place Uma, or even finishing under a par time. But I still got 97,000 points. In comparison, another race that I did win, I only got 84,000. And even looking at the race where I did get 97,000, the one who contributed the most to those points was Super Creek, who placed the worst out of my 3 Umas. And the big reason is because of the skills. You see, when an Uma activates a white skill, they earn 500 points before any bonuses. But activating a gold skill gives 1,200 points before any multipliers. And that difference between white and gold skills is the major reason why gold skills are so sought after for team trials specifically. The other skill that can activate is the unique skill, which also provide a significant amount of points, with of course 3-star versions of the skill giving more. So if you've been doing your legend races and maybe some pulls here and there, do try to upgrade your girls to their 3-star version. Not just for the increased points, but also don't forget, going from a 1 or 2-star skill to a 3-star version of the skill does give it a stronger effect, which can help them in winning the race, and then of course getting those other bonuses for winning. During their career as well, when training, you can upgrade their skill level during senior year if you have the director at a green friendship and if you have enough fans at certain points. By increasing your skill level on your unique, this will also give you more points when these higher skill levels trigger. The thresholds you're looking for are 60,000 fans in early February, 70,000 fans in early April, and 120,000 fans in late December. Now, that being said though, using an inherited version of a unique skill from a legacy does not count as a unique skill or even a gold skill. They will just count as a regular white skill. And these are expensive at that as well, normally costing about 180 skill points out the gate. So again, this is kind of contrary to Champions Meeting where inherited skills are pretty good. And don't get me wrong, these skills can help you win the team trial races, but for the same amount of skill points on that one inherited skill, you could probably buy 2, maybe 3 other skills or maybe a gold skill and still win. But just in this scenario, you'll get way more points. The next bonus you can get is for good positioning, which rewards 2,000 points when the Uma is positioned first out of their racing style. So for example, if you are in front of the front runners, or if you are in front of all the pace chasers as a pace chaser, or if you are the furthest ahead late surger. This will trigger once as you enter the middle part of the race, and again at the late stage of the race. The mid-race and late race start are noted by the little lines in the race progress bar at the top. Now, because of this positioning bonus, technically you can min-max this by making sure that each of the 3 Umas in a team are of different racing styles. Since if all 3 of your Umas are front runners, only one of them can be the first place front runner for that positioning bonus. Whereas if you have a front, pace, and late all in one race, then you can get all 3 good positioning activations twice potentially, for a total of 6,000 points before any bonuses. The next bonus is for a strong start. Now, believe it or not, a late start isn't the only thing that can happen in a race. In fact, when the race begins, all Umas will individually roll a random delay from when they actually start out of the gate. It's just that normally only the low rolls where you get a late start is flagged specifically to annoy you. But when you have a good start with a very little delay, then you get rewarded with 1,000 points. Now, this can somewhat be influenced by getting the focus, or better yet, the gold concentration skill. Not only will this give a better chance for a strong start, but concentration being a gold skill will also give more points when it activates. And it's nice that concentration is one of the cheaper gold skills too, in comparison to others like say Professor of Curvature. The next bonus is the Dark Horse bonus, which you get if you were initially the 8th or 9th favorite racer, but end up winning it all. This rewards the Uma with 4,000 points, but it's not really worth it because you'll need to tank your stats to be able to get 8th or 9th favorite. And remember, there are 3 NPCs in the race, so you're gonna have to go pretty low. And the 4K bonus isn't really worth it when you could easily make that up by just making a regular good Uma instead. So moral of the story, obviously you want to win. And the one Uma that does win can net you a lot of bonuses. But don't forget that even if your other Umas place lower, they can still get a lot of points. So potentially what you could do is, well, ideally you want all 3 to win, but you also want all of your Umas to have lots of skills so that even if they don't win, they can still contribute by earning a lot of points via triggering skills. So with this in mind, when training an Uma, you should go in with a thought in mind of what you want them to be. For example here, I wanted Super Creek to be a specifically pace chaser for medium distance races. So when picking support cards, you should always grab ones that you know will A, provide a lot of gold skills, and B, specifically gold skills that will also help her win. So I took Kira-san Black because Professor of Curvature, Yaina Mutiki since her gold skill It's On is great for a pace chaser since it activates when overtaking somebody. Then Tokai Teo provides Russian Gale, which even if it activates at a quote-unquote bad time, which is something you'd be concerned about in stuff like Champions Meeting, here, as long as it activates, that's all that matters. Naturally, you'll be seeing a lot of SSRs as those are the ones that provide gold skills. I also take Fuji Kiseki here, a wit card, because buying all those gold skills does take quite a lot of skill points. So training wit for a team trial Uma is pretty important. Firstly, it gives you more skill points, and secondly, having a higher wit value also makes the Uma more likely to activate the skills in the races too. This is why, despite the Rudolph placing higher than Super Creek in the example race I showed you, because Super Creek had higher wit, she activated more skills, earning more points. Now, that's not to say that you should only train wit and nothing else. Again, there are other bonuses that do rely on you having good stats to actually place well and have good positioning and even win, but try to train wit somewhat often. Speaking of training specific Umas for team trials, another issue that you might encounter is actually struggling to fill the entire team slots, specifically when it comes to the sprint and dirt races, as the variety for those races are a bit on the rarer side if you haven't been pulling that much. But don't forget that some Umas, although it takes a bit of work, can be trained for these races even if they aren't usually meant for them. Obviously, for a dirt team, Haru Urara is a great free option, but with some dirt sparks, you can convert Mayano Top Gun and El Condor Pasa as your other two runners for dirt. And then as for sprints, Bakshin and King Halo are your free options, but once again, with some sprint sparks, if you manage to get Air Groove, you can make her a sprinter too. But otherwise though, those are several ways that you can improve your team trial score. It's quite a bit different from the things that you'd be doing for Champions Meeting, so again, maybe you've been neglecting team trials, or maybe you've been content with floating back and forth between class 5 and 6. But now with these increased rewards, I think it's well worth it to try and make a better team to earn those rewards each week. Hopefully you've learned something new in this video, and if it helped you out, liking and commenting is greatly appreciated. And be sure as well to share it with anybody else that is struggling with team trials. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future too. And also, if you're watching this video right after it's been uploaded, there's a very good chance I am live right now on YouTube doing some runs where I try to train with nothing but guts cards. So why not come on by and say hello and see how the run's going. But until next time though, bye bye.